Hi friends, how are you today? I hope you're really well. I'm here today to bring you the beautiful Imala cat. It's a firm favourite of mine. I think it was actually from chapter 2. So it was one of the early ones that we started with. So if you've got it already, this is some fresh new ideas to do with it. Or if you haven't got it, go to the website and have a look. It's the kind of stamp that you want to decoupage, you want to make it big. It could make a great repetitive stamp. You don't have to use the whole of the stamp as well because you've got floral detail at the top and the bottom, and of course the beautiful cat's face. So let's start. What we're going to create is a easy, simple card. So I'm going to pick it up onto my Eureka, very simple, and you can see here how it grabs gorgeously. I'm going to go on with my VersaFine, super simple. So you just pop it on and you give it a good old inking. I think with this kind of stamp, sometimes you do need to go back and re-ink. That's of course why we use the magnet on the watercolour paper. So we can very simply reposition it back again. Because if you don't get that crisp image first time, then obviously you do need to go back and repeat. So I'm just going to use my fingertip dancing over the top, and we will see how crisp the image is straight away. So let's have a look. Now that is beautiful, but I feel that it needs a lot more on the facial area. So I'm just going to go back again, add more ink. This is a good time to tell you that you should store your ink pads upside down. Sometimes I don't listen to my own advice, but then what that does is keep all of that fresh ink right on the top of the surface. So sometimes if it doesn't work perfectly straight away, you can go back 2 or 3 times because we've got that magnet. It will be exact every single time. So let's have a look now. Oh, much better, isn't it? So crisp and vibrant, absolutely beautiful. So that's the stamping of the beautiful cat. But what I've done already is I've cut it out to the exact size, all ready to go for my card, and I've actually stamped it out 3 times, and we are going to decoupage this image. It's stunning, isn't it? I want to teach you very simply how you can paint and create gorgeous backgrounds as well as that firm detail on the front. So I'm taking my round brush, that is my Himi round brush, absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to use the gorgeous palette that I've got here. So we're going to start, first of all, I'm going to take the lemon, add that to the middle, add a bit of the ochre in there as well, and a little touch of orange, just so it's quite warm. I'm going to pick that colour up now, and I'm going to start adding a little bit of colour. And you can see I've barely got any water on there because I want it quite vibrant. That's how lush it is to use these gorgeous, moist watercolours. Now I'm not going to be painting every single piece of detail because I'm actually going to decoupage the layers. So I'm simply just adding in fine detail. So I'm going to go in the green now, and we are just going to paint some colour. I always find with any of these stamps, the easiest way is to get your colour down, allow it to dry, then go back and add the tones, because if you don't, you can't see the colour that it dries, and it always dries 1 to 2 shades lighter. So I'm just adding in this little bit of leaf detail, a little bit of colouring. So I'm going to go in a bit of a darker green, mix them two together a little. And this just makes it super vibrant. You'll notice as well that I turn my artwork rather than lean on it. If you can't turn your artwork and you do need to lean on it, always pop a piece of paper down, because there's nothing worse than smudges after you've spent ages painting. So I'm just rotating round, adding a little bit of colour. There we go. So now I'm going to do the rest of this bottom area. So I'm going to go in some orange, and I'm just going to start adding in some colour. It's always easier as well to start at the middle of the flower and then work out from there. So I'm just adding tiny flicks. This is how you can add your colour, then just drag it out with the water. and it just gives you that really simple blend. You go back over the colour that you've already done. Just makes it so simple. So now I'm going to go into my yellow. Beautiful. And what I love about the stamp, depending on what colours you do, depends on what season. So I've gone for quite sort of yellowy oranges. So this could be autumn, or it could be like towards the end of the summer. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the cherry red in with that yellow to make almost like a peachy colour. There we go. Gorgeous. Now you may be thinking, why are you not colouring the cat? Because I've actually decoupaged the cat, so we're not going to paint that till the final layer. So now I'm going to go back in with a darker green. And you can see already where it started to dry. So now I can see the true colour that this green is, which is brilliant, because now I can go back with a much darker green and just add that detail. Obviously with a marler we do pop little lines and dashes where the darker areas are, so you can very simply follow that guide. Beautiful. Now this is my favourite style of brush. I do find you get most control with a round brush. Some people prefer the chisel brush, but I just prefer the round personally. I prefer chisel brushes for acrylics and round brushes for watercolours. So now I'm going to go in that cherry brown. Just using that water to exaggerate. Now if you get too much water on your brush, just rotate it around the edge of your pot, and then you can just blend accordingly. So I'll just pick up a little tad of yellow. Gorgeous. So now I'm going to go back up to my flowers here, and I'm going to add a much brighter yellow to fill in that area. Very easy. I'm going into the orange now, and I'm just going to pull it in to that peachy colour that I made. And you can see how well that works together. Back in the green. And it just depends on how you paint. Some people prefer to paint in batch colours. So that means you do all the green at once, you do all the yellow at once, which sometimes I do. But today, I'm feeling a bit sporadic. So I'm just sort of popping my colour detail where I see it needed. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to a side, and then I'm going to start work on my second layer. Now, obviously, my top layer is going to be the actual cat, so I'm not going to paint the cat till last. So now I'm going to do the rest of that colour work on the florals. So this is the bit you're really going to see. So if you take your deepest colour in the centre, just dot that over the middle. We'll come back to that in a second. Now I'm going to go into this green over on the side. I think if you've never watercolour painted before, Marla is the perfect starting point, because the imagery is all done for you. All you need to do is check out the different styles and techniques that you can create with that. So now I'm going to go into the ochre, pulling that out from the centre, and then go in the lemon, just to pull that round. Again, just using that water to exaggerate that colour. And you may be thinking, well, why are you on the top of your Eureka? This is your perfect platform because it's completely wipeable. So now I'm going over to the orange, just pulling out that detail. Just use the water to finish and exaggerate that colour, but it blends beautifully. So now I'm just going to add a little touch of red just in that centre. And again, just use the water to exaggerate the colour away. A tad of orange in the centre. There we go, and then the darker green on that leaf detail now it's started to dry. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to the side to dry so we can start working on the fabulous cat. Now, of course, you can do markers, you can do whatever you prefer, but I'm going to be watercolouring today. So I'm going to go for this brown, but I'm going to add it in to that peachy colour that I chose before. And now I'm just picking random lines and following them through with the colour. Now you can do all of these areas completely individual, but this is just a nice, quick, easy way to decoupage with the beautiful cat. So now I'm going to pick up a little tad of orange. I'm just going to pull that round as well. This is a beautiful stamp and you will absolutely love working with it. If you're cat mad anyway, then you're definitely going to need it because it is so cute. And obviously you can paint it so it matches your cat, which is fab. So now I'm going into the water. I'm going to pick up that cherry brown. So obviously it can be quite dreamlike, or it can be more realistic depending on what you prefer yourself. So now I'm going to go over with some water and I'm blending these colours together. So we've still got that richness of that orange, but we're just bringing it down a tad with the other colours. Now using that water, we can start blending the colours. So now I'm just going to take a little tad of black and just really make those eyes piercing. Grey and a little tad of white just to take off the starkness of the whites of the eyes. Then I've got a white gel pen that I'm simply going to use on the reflection of the eyes. Super simple. I've also decoupaged some of these tiny little flowers as well, and you can see that I've already started painting these with the orange. So now I'm going to go back in with the yellow and just pull that colour into the centre over the top of the orange that I've previously added. Then once that's dry, we can layer it all up. This is so much fun, this stamp. Absolutely. So I'm going to leave them to dry, plus obviously my top layer, but with my base layer now, I'm going to come back to this. Obviously I don't need to paint the cat because the cat is already painted. I've already got multiple layers to go on top. But what I would like to show you is now how we can blend around the outside. So I'm going to pick up my orange first, which is a lovely, beautiful colour. And I'm just going to ink around the edges. Now we're going to be doing a tri-blend of inks, which is 3 different colours. And what you do is you leave a tiny halo around the base image, and then what that does is it just highlights it and draws your eyes straight to the focal point in the centre. So this is the Spice Marmalade, which it sounds a lot orangey than what it is, but it's lovely. Beautiful ink to work with. And you can go as deep or as light as you prefer. My next layer is going to be Victorian Velvet, which is the pink. And I'm going straight over the top. These are the key colours as well that you would use for a sunset. So if you're looking at doing that, maybe with the seashore stamp from Amala, that would work beautiful. Or of course, the sunset. So we are just adding that on. My final layer will be the scattered straw. Beautiful. Then using my dirty water and a fan brush, I'm simply going to tap. Now, the inks that we've used are all going to start reacting. You're going to get multiple layers of colour, and it just sets the scene. Doesn't matter if some of your water goes over the imagery, because don't forget we've got layers to go on there as well. So now I'm just going to dry this off. Now, if you get pools of water like this, instead of pushing it to the side, because that will push your ink out, your colour, dry it in circles and then it will stay where it is and just dry it as it is. It makes it a lot easier. Also, it's just heat gun control. You'll soon get used to it if you've never tried that. So I'm also going to dry off my next layer, which is here. So now I'm going to take a little bit of that spiced marmalade and I'm just going to frame this a little tad. So just by doing the edges, I'm not going right into the flowers, just a little bit, even on the leaves, just on them edges. Very, very simple, and it just pulls it all together. Again, just a tad around the edge of the cat. Again, with the spiced marmalade, it just gives it more perception. And it's gorgeous. So now we can start layering up very, very simply. So this layer is going to go straight on here, really, really easy. I'm going to use foam pads to lift mine up. this will go clean on top, like so. Now this final layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to manipulate it slightly. So I'm going to pull them ears slightly forward and just squeeze them, but pull it forward, because then that creates a really good 3D cat. Again, foam pads straight on top of that imagery. We've got the beautiful flowers. I can very, very simply manipulate. You can cut into them as well. I mean, if you think about it, you could decoupage this maybe 3 or 4 times. That would work beautifully. So now I'm just adding them florals in. And the beauty of using these florals, that you can even add them in places where you not necessarily got them from, but then you can build up them blooms. So again, I'm just going to put one down here, just on top of that layer. And I've got one final little one I'm just going to pop over here. Very easy. I've got my sentiment. Adventure awaits. I'm just going to add that to the bottom right hand. Then I've got my matte and layers already. So I've got decorative background paper on white with a black frame. And then I'm simply going to add that to my project. And then to finish, a few gems, I think, just to make it sparkly. Perfect. Just a few tiny gems. Centres of flowers. Just exaggerate a little bit away from it. Try not to have them too static. Make sure that they're not in lines, for instance, because then that just makes it look far more creative. Then I'm just turning. Just a few more. And we are done. There we go. I hope you've really enjoyed creating this really beautiful project. I do love the cat stamp. If you haven't got it, it's a must-have. It's a firm favourite. But look how simple it is to create something different and beautiful. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much. Take care.